how to do self-reflection. There are two ways. One way is by yourself. Another one is to do it by others. There are also two ways to do it by yourself. One is by closing eyes, and second one is by opening eyes. Hello, welcome to Enlighten Me YouTube channel. Today we have the new podcast that we're going to talk about self-reflection. I will talk about what, why, and how, especially how self-reflection improve our quality of life and can lead us to happiness. Interesting? Okay, let's go. This is a self-reflection based on Oriental philosophy, or in particular, I would say Buddhist philosophy. Because I have studied about that over 30 years. I'm in the path of self-development for quite a long time. I have my own experience on that I would like to share because it's really simplifying my life. It's really make me happier. Yeah, especially during this hectic world that you see so many chaotic things happening. Okay, so I just would like to not to make a false expectation that you may want to know about that, but I may say something differently. The definition. Okay, we go to the first thing, definition of self-reflection. Okay, in Wikipedia, if you search for that, it says that it's the ability to witness or evaluate our own cognitive, emotional, and behavioral process. Okay, to make it easy, I would say it is a process, okay, to get back to yourself. It's a process to get back to yourself and to ask the questions of why you think, you speak, or you act in that way, so that you learn from that action, from that speech, from that thought, and trying to avoid the mistake that you make, or trying to improve yourself next time. Okay, in general, it's just the easy explanation I would like to give. Okay, then why we have to do self-reflection? Okay, very easy. We do self-reflection because we would like to know ourselves better. Why? Because we would like to understand ourselves more. And why? Because we would like to control ourselves better. And why? Because many times, we know that we should do this, we should not do this, but we do something opposite. Or sometimes we know that we must do this, but we cannot resist the temptation to do this, right? So sometimes we know deep down that this is right and this is wrong, but we pretend not to know about that. Why? That's because we cannot control ourselves good enough. We cannot be mindful enough. Okay? Yeah. So the self-reflection will help us to have a profound understanding of ourselves, which will lead to the ability to communicate effectively with ourselves. Is it important? Many times we feel like we miscommunicate with people around us. That's because we still miscommunicate with ourselves, right? We still feel we disappointed with ourselves. We still dislike ourselves. We still dissatisfy ourselves. So many negative thoughts about ourselves, right? That means that we cannot communicate peacefully and harmoniously with ourselves. What do you expect to communicate with other people? Not possible. So the first thing is to be able to communicate beautifully, peacefully, joyfully, effectively with yourself. And then you will develop the ability to communicate with other people better. Okay? Because another thing that people who can communicate with others better is because that person start to be able to cultivate empathy, because they care more the consequence of the action, of the speech, that will be. Okay, so they care more about that and they know more about that. So they're trying to avoid any undesirable, any unsatisfaction outcomes that may happen. Okay, at the end, when you can communicate effectively with yourself, it means that you can connect with your inner voice better. Okay, sometimes we call inner voice, but actually it's in the subconscious level. It means that you can connect back to your inner self, which means that it will help you, lead you to be more happy. Okay, you know, the one who many times like they feel like they're dissatisfied with themselves. They may not be depressed with themselves alone, but sometimes they blame other people, they criticize other people, and they have argument with other people. That leads to non-peaceful situation, right? Or relationship, right? So that causes the problems. Okay, so that's how this self-reflection is really, really important, because it helps you know, understand, control, to be more mindful with that, to be able to harmoniously, happily live with yourself, and at the end will help you towards your self-appreciation, self-esteem, and self-growth. Okay, that's really important in the path of personal development, which will affect your professional performance. Next is how to do self-reflection. There are two ways. One way is by yourself. That's why it's called self-reflection, right? Another one is to do it by others, but it's also called self-reflections, but you ask other people to do it for you. So for the first one is an inside out, while the second one is an outside in. So with these both ways, we have a complete information about ourselves. Okay, that's good, right? Let's start with the one, okay? Reflection by yourself. There are also two ways to do it by yourself. One is by closing eyes, and second one is by opening eyes. Interesting, right? How can you close your eyes and do reflection? Okay, I would say with the closed eyes is when we don't think, but with the open eyes, when we really think. Very true, controversial kind of reflection, right? But it's true, and you need both ways. One, we do with the closed eyes first. Okay, can you guess what way that we, or what techniques that we would like to have? Yes, meditation. Meditation is an art of doing nothing, or the art of not thinking. It's not about contemplating. And some people may feel like, oh, how can I not thinking or stop thinking? Will I lose the ability to have critical thinking? No, of course not. Just the time when you meditate, you just stop your thinking process because you let yourself take a rest, with your thinking process. Stop from it. Interestingly, Prince Siddhartha enlightened to become the Lord Buddha, who have a diverse and endless knowledge or endless wisdom by meditating or by stop thinking, not by contemplating, not by learning, not by listening, but by just being still, being empty, being quietly, being in silence with oneself. Which means that we have something inside awaiting for us. How? Does it make sense? Is it taboo or something? No. It's very scientific way. I will explain it like this. If you have a tank, okay, this tank, if they're full of different objects, big or small, you see that it's occupying the tank and there's no space left. Okay, assuming that these thoughts drop down, sink down to the bottom, then you have more space. And this space will give you a new, creative, innovative kind of ideas, because you give yourself more space to input something more. This is how meditation will give you the outcome. Meditation help you cleansing those objects, make it sink during meditation. Okay, so it means that you have more space, you have more empty kind of self, in order to be able to accept something new, something creative. Okay, so this is comparing with this tank that full of different objects, big or small, It means that you may go thinking, go even in the loop, your thinking process never ends, but you're just thinking about the same thing many times, and you cannot find a solution, you cannot find the way out. So just give yourself some space to escape from the old kind of like loop, the maybe black hole that you just created yourself, So let meditation help you. So if you can make meditation your habit, your self-reflection will be your habit, and it will be more effective as well. Second is when you do self-reflection with the open eyes, right? With the open eyes, it requires your thinking process, especially why. I would like to share with you these questions to ask yourself, okay, the why questions. 1, why I have to do this? Whatever you would like to do, ask why first, okay? 2, why I think like this? Why I'm not thinking like this, okay? 3, what drive me to do this instead of that? 4, is it good or bad? Is it appreciated? 5, can it be better? And how to make it better? 6, what is the real cause of problem? Why this problem happened and how to avoid it? These kind of 6 basic questions that if you ask it regularly, and it's been become your habits, and I highly recommend you to do reflection every time that thing happens to you. So I will not limit it to do the reflection once a month or once a week. No, I think if it's become your automatic kind of habits, you will do whenever you have to do, So for me, myself, I do it maybe in a day, maybe more than once, I would not say like once a day. So because it's more than that, because every time I do thing and I can do reflection in whatever I do, because I would like to be better. Because the purpose of doing self-reflection is to improve yourself, to learn the lesson and not to repeat the same mistake again, right? Next is to do self-reflection by other people. I will classify the people kind of like 6 directions, but people that we interact with in everyday's life or from our birth until today. These are the 6 groups of people that we are kind of interact almost every day, or not every day, but anyway, the whole life, okay? So 1 is your parents, or it can be someone who breed you, who nurturing you. It can be your grandpa, grandma, auntie, uncle, whoever, This is the first group. These groups, they know the background of you. They know your past, They may know your trauma. So they know the background. They know your behaviors, okay? Second is your partner, your spouse, your close friends, someone that have the most updated information about you almost all the time. The one that you always chat with, So they get very updated. Sometimes your parent that you may not live with anymore may not get the most updated, But they know the past and know your background. That's a different kind of people, right? So the second group is that they kind of like knowing your emotion, they know your strength and weakness, something like that, okay? Third is your boss, okay, your subordinates or your colleagues. Why this group is classifying to this? Because many times we use the time at work, or we work, more than we living with our friend, with our families, because the work like dominates lots of hours in our life, right? So this group of people tend to kind of like know us as well, even though they may not know you like deep down, your personal self, but anyway, your professional selves show to them. So this is a group of people that you interact maybe the most within a day, okay? 4, spiritual, religious leader, or you can call them like counselor, advisor, teacher, coach. They're kind of role models. They're kind of the person that have knowledge, they have better experience, not better, but maybe greater experience, that kind of like have wisdom, This group of people can be the group that do very significant kind of self-reflection. So if you don't have one, find one. Because in our life, we need someone to give us the light. And this is a group of people that can do that for us. Because sometimes we may fall into the darkness. We may, drop into the cave, and we cannot find a way. But this group of people may just ignite the thoughts, and that's possible. 5 is the one that we feel that they're inferior than us. Okay, we define them that they're inferior than us because of their social status, because of their financial status, someone like we meet almost every day, but they seem to be invisible because we don't really value their presence. Something like housekeeper, security guard, waitress, food writer, those people that we like, interact but meaningfully somehow, because we don't care much about them. But people that know that they are in a lower social status, will feel very appreciated if someone higher than them treat them well, which means that those people values them. And if you imagine the society that we values everyone the same, even though they get less money than you, they may live poorer than you, but they're human being, that the values should not be judged by that, right? So if we values everyone the same, that everyone fulfill the society, everyone is a jigsaw in the big picture of the society, they play their role. If so, and they value them, and when you do reflection with them, you may amazingly find something different because they come from different background, like education background, like family background. Their thinking process may be different than us. And to find that different perspective may enlightening sometimes, and not guarantee that it can happen every time, but sometimes, because I experienced that already. Okay, the last one is a group that, and very, very interesting. I will recommend to do that with this group of people only when you have a good mood. You are have a emotional stability. Because this is a group that you dislike. The person that you dislike, or they dislike you. Interesting. Why? We have to do self-reflection with this group of people, even though they have a bias of hatred towards us. That's because of the hatred that they may have towards us. They will maybe able to discover something like a hidden truth towards ourselves that we never see. Okay? But of course, because they dislike us or we dislike them, so both sides or one party have bias, right? So it means that if you are not in a good mood, it will accelerate the argument or the dispute, or even the kind of like a boxing arena or punching may happen. So choose the right moment for a different group of people. Okay, choose the right scenario to do different reflection. But I'm just saying that this 6 group of people is a group that you should choose at the right time, at the right scenario, and then you will get the complete kind of thing. Last but not least, even though self-reflection have tremendous benefits, there are also obstacles, in doing self-reflection. What's that? It's come from us. There's 2 words that we need to have, and we cannot escape from having that. 1 is ego, 2 is bias. If you see the Better Me models that we show you, you will see that that's the obstacles of self-reflection we are facing. I have the clip talking about the ego Okay, so you can click on that as well. I'm not talking about ego today, so I'll be talking only about the bias. In Buddhism, we classify into 4 bias. One is a bias of love. Love yourself or you love others. Because loving yourself many times make you defend too much on yourself. Makes you try to avoid some fact that may hurt your feeling. Because you love yourself, you don't want to feel bad, or love other people. You love this person more than the other person, so you seem to trust that person or believe in whatever that person say more than the other. That will deviate the information, that will deviate the facts, right? 2 is hatred or anger. This bias will really blind you because of that dislike the word. So whatever that person say, you tend to be blind. You tend not to hear it, even though that person say it. But you cannot hear because you're not open enough to listen because of that bias. The 3rd one is bias of fear. Okay, this is the bias that I think mostly we have that. And this fear will make it hard for us to accept the truth. The fear may come from boss because you're afraid that they will affect you on promotion, on bonus, whatever. So you may not do well reflections, okay? And actually, I would like to add a little bit on that because for the group of boss, subordinates, this group of people, it's have pro and cons. Because for the boss, mostly if that person is a good boss, he or she will give you a direct, sincere, and correct kind of self-reflection for you to improve your performance, okay? But if that's become your subordinates, that person may fear about promotion, about bonus, about, disadvantages that they may get if they say something too much direct. So they may avoid some fact. So you may not get the real kind of fact. Instead, there may be an opinion that may be full of bias, so you may have to distinguish or differentiate between the fact and the opinion. Okay, and the colleagues, sometimes the colleagues may have jealousy, towards you because that you are in the competition, because of the promotion as well. So this group of people, when you do reflection, you have to also be careful. And 4th one is bias of delusion or ignorance. This is the most dangerous kind of bias because when we don't know that we don't know, it's hard for us to know. And we don't know many things, So when we have those bias, it means like we don't have a complete set of information to make decision, when we grounded by that. So we may have the wrong reflection, we have wrong understanding, we have wrong decision making because we don't have enough information because of our unknown kind of thing, So how to reduce bias? I will not talk about that in this clip, okay? If you're interested in that, you can share with me in the comment below and I will come up with another clip talking about the bias, okay? So today we're talking about what is self-reflection, why we have to do self-reflection, and how to do self-reflection, okay? So I think that's all for today. If you have any comments, suggestions, please feel free to do so. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and see you next time. Thank you very much.